it is time to run through the NFC. And we, of course, start in the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles, their over-under at the time I did my notes on this, was set at 9.5. Sorry, I just saw breaking news about Pat McAfee. Is he going to ESPN or is Jeff Passan joining his show? Either way, big day for Pat McAfee show. One of the next generation of podcast folks here. So kind of a cool thing. Whatever is going on. So I'll try to keep looking at it as that goes along. But sorry, I got distracted there. Eagles win total at 9.5. Their Super Bowl odds are plus 2,200. They are plus 1,100 to win the NFC, plus 150 to win the division. A lot of people very excited about this Philadelphia Eagles team. They have added weapons around Jalen Hurts. They have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I think they have a very good defense. I like everything about this team. The only question is the quarterback. I cannot get it out of my head how really bad that playoff game looked against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how overwhelmed Jalen Hurts looked in that game. I am going to assume he is using that as a learning tool and is going to be back better than ever. Also, I don't believe the Eagles' schedule is all that difficult this season. I'm going to go over 9.5 wins for Philadelphia. The Dallas Cowboys total sets at 10. They are plus 2,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 900 to win the NFC, plus 150 to win the division. I think this is a fallback year for the Dallas Cowboys. I think the offensive line is too banged up to trust what the offense is going to be able to do. I think the defense got incredibly lucky last year with all of the turnovers that they got. Diggs is way too boomer bust to rely on. I remember that Saints team that won the Super Bowl based on so many defensive plays. It really turned around for them the year after that. And you just can't rely on being so aggressive going after the interceptions. That is going to end up biting the Dallas Cowboys. I have them going under 10. The New York Giants win total sits at 7. They are plus 12,500 to win the Super Bowl, plus 600 to win the NFC, plus 800 to win the division. That means if you put $100 on the Giants to win the Super Bowl, you would get $12,500 if they were to win. I would just recommend lighting it on fire instead. This is a bad football team. I get that there is excitement around a new offensive mind in Brian Daboll. I have questions as to whether the growth for the Buffalo Bills was really around Brian Daboll, or was it the growth of Josh Allen just as a quarterback? I don't think Daniel Jones is very good. I don't think the receiving group is very good. I think the defense has a lot of holes. I think they had a good draft, and I think they could move in the right direction. This is a lost year for me with this team. I am going to go under 7 for the New York Giants. The Washington Commanders win total sits at 8. They are plus 7,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 3,500 to win the NFC, plus 500 to win the division. This is an easy under 8 for me. Again, Chase Young is out for the first 4 weeks. This defense was exposed a year ago. Carson Wentz should be better than what they have at the quarterback spot, but Antonio Gibson is kind of thrust into the spotlight after Brian Robinson gets shot in the offseason. He should be back at some point this year, but there's no trust in the running back. I like the draft of Dotson. To him and McLaurin, I think, can be a couple pretty good receivers, but I think this defense continues to fall off, and I don't know about Riverboat Ron anymore, so I'm going under for Washington as well on this one. The order of the division here is Philadelphia at 9.5, Dallas finishing in second. The Giants are going to be my fourth place team, so Washington will finish third for me, and I am circling all the NFC East bets. I like these. I like all of these actually quite a bit. Moving into the NFC West, it is the LA Rams at plus 10, or their over-under, sits at 10.5. They are plus 1,200 to win the Super Bowl, plus 550 to win the NFC, and they are the favorites in the NFC West at plus 130. The defending Super Bowl champions return a lot of the players that were so key to their success last year. One big omission is Odell Beckham Jr. Now, it sounds like maybe he could come back to this team as a free agent, maybe late in the season if the recovery goes well. They replace him with Allen Robinson, who I think is a very, very, very good, very talented wide receiver. We will see how much he has left. I have questions about the running backs. I have not a ton of questions elsewhere. That this is a remarkably talented football team. I do worry a bit about a bit of a Super Bowl hangover, but I am still going to go over 10.5 on the LA Rams. I feel comfortable that this could be a team. 11-6 seems very much within the realm of possibility for them. The San Francisco 49ers, the over-under total sits at 10. They are plus 1,600 to win the Super Bowl, plus 750 to win the NFC, plus 150 to win the division. I like that for the 49ers to win the division. I am going over the 10. I think there are some concerns, obviously, about Trey Lance, but you look at the rest of this team. I think they have a very talented running back room. I think they have a couple very talented receivers. I love the tight end. This defense is a major problem for teams and continues to be a real staple for them. And you look at what Kyle Shanahan has been able to do with mobile quarterbacks. He got the most that anyone got out of Robert Griffin III. I don't know if Trey Lance can get to that level, but I think he has the best opportunity to with Kyle Shanahan. And if it starts to fall apart, Jimmy Garoppolo could be right there to back it up. I love this situation for San Francisco. I'm going over for them. Up next, the Arizona Cardinals. Their win total is at 8.5. They are plus 4,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 2,000 to win the NFC, plus 400 to win the division. I am firmly in the under category for Arizona. I think all the vibes around this team are off. I think we've gone over this before. I think Kingsbury could be the first coach fired. I think no DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 weeks. Hollywood Brown has had some issues, obviously. Kyler Murray, this whole offseason was just such a debacle. And then the shit talking between Kyler and Kingsbury that's saying, like, yeah, you do the play calling. You see how hard it is. They lose Chandler Jones on the defensive side of things, which I think is a gigantic loss. Nothing is trending in the right direction for this Arizona football team. They start off week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they get absolutely pummeled in that game, and I think it starts a real downward spiral for them. I was very tempted to pick Arizona to finish last in this division, but I am certainly going under 8.5. The only reason I'm not going with Arizona to finish last in this division are the Seattle Seahawks, whose win total is at 5.5. They are plus 15,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 8,000 to win the NFC, plus 2,000 just to win this division. The total at 5.5. I will gleefully take the under on that. This is a team that struggled with one of the more talented quarterbacks in the league, with Russell Wilson. Now you have Geno Smith back there, who I think has a lot of concerns around him because of how spotty this offensive line can be. If Russell Wilson can't get a lot of this offensive line, I don't know what Geno Smith is going to be able to do. This is a year of transition for this team. Seattle under 5.5 for me. NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings come in at 9.5 for the win total, plus 3,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 1,800 to win the NFC, plus 260 to win the NFC North. I like everything about this team but the quarterback. It concerns me how much I like this team because of Kirk Cousins. You know, last year how frustrated I was at being burned by Kirk Cousins on a number of opportunities. I do think he is overrated, but I just look at all the weapons on this team, and I look at a now offensive-minded coach who could be able to unlock a few more things here. So I am probably going to regret this, but I'm going over 9.5 for the Minnesota Vikings, and I also like the plus 260 to win the division. Let's roll, baby. You like that. I don't love it, but I'm going with Kirk Cousins on that. The Green Bay Packers, over-under sits at 11. They are plus 1,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 400 to win the NFC, minus 190 to win the division. I'm going under 11 on the Green Bay Packers. I get Aaron Rodgers is the 2-time MVP. This offseason, again, was really weird, and I get last offseason was really weird too, and we said to not buy into that, but now the team isn't getting as good. You know, like now Devontae Adams is gone, and he's kind of shit-talking a lot of the rookie wide receivers that they have brought in. It feels off to me in Green Bay right now. Aaron Rodgers is someone who will hold the ball and hold the ball and hold the ball and wait for his receivers to get open. Devontae Adams isn't walking through that door anymore. I don't know if they have the guys to get open anymore, so I'm going to go under Green Bay at 11 there. The rest of the division is a little sucky. The Detroit Lions with a win total at 6.5, plus 12,500 to win the Super Bowl, plus 6,000 to win the NFC, and $100 on them to win the division would pay out with $1,000 in your pocket. A lot of people very high on the Detroit Lions. I think they're going to go from a terrible team to being a bad team this year. I think that they lost a lot of close games. They won a lot of close games as well. And I just can't imagine this team more than doubling their win total. So because of that, I like under 6.5. I love what Dan Campbell is doing. I love the culture that they are building there. I like the draft that they had. And we know from the fantasy shows, I like some of the players that have made their way to that team. But the quarterback is an issue, and I still think that they are a couple of years away from really breaking through. So I like under 6.5 for Detroit. Also at 6.5, the Chicago Bears. Their odds to win the Super Bowl are plus 15,000. They are plus 8,000 to win the NFC, plus 1,500 to win the division. I think this might be the worst team in football. If the Houston Texans didn't exist, they certainly would be the worst team in football. I hate what they're doing to Justin Fields. There is nothing redeemable about either side of the football. Aside from that, I think this team is going to be horrific. I have them under 6.5 and would consider sprinkling a little bit on them for the worst team in the National Football League coming out of this. I think I can't imagine this team going 7-9. I just really can't. Last one for our division previews: the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC South. Their total sits at 11.5. They are plus 750 to win the Super Bowl, plus 325 to win the NFC, and minus 250 to win the division, which is more of a statement on the division than it is on them. I'm going under 11.5. I have major concerns about this offensive line pressuring a not so mobile Tom Brady. I have questions about what they're going to be able to do on the defensive side of the ball, now potentially a year older with a couple of more players exiting. I think this team still wins the division, but I do not see a 12-5 in this team's future. The New Orleans Saints at plus 4,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 2,000 to win the NFC, plus 300 to win the division. I like New Orleans over 8.5. I think Dennis Allen continuing the continuity there with the coaching staff. I think not messing around with the Taysom Hill stuff is going to help out. I think they had a very good draft for skill position players, and I think this defense is pretty good still, and they have one of the better defensive coaches in the league with Dennis Allen there. If he can just kind of stay out of the way on offense and let this offense work, you have Michael Thomas back, you have Alvin Kamara there, they drafted a couple of players as well, you still have a gadget play in Taysom Hill every now and then. I think New Orleans goes over 8.5. I like this team quite a bit. I think this could be a sneaky playoff team as well, but we'll get to that in a second. All right. Carolina. Their win total is at 6.5, plus 12,500 to win the Super Bowl, plus 7,000 to win the NFC, plus 900 to win the division. God, I don't want to fall for this again. But I'm kind of going to fall. I might fall for this again. Baker Mayfield, if he can figure out what he is supposed to do as a quarterback and just be a rhythm passer, they have a couple of very good weapons in Carolina. My issue is Matt Rule seems to be an idiot, and Ben McAdoo, who they have brought in as their offensive coordinator, is kind of a confirmed idiot. I like the defense. I like so many pieces on this team. It's just the coaching quarterback that I have the problems on. This 6.5 is such a great win total because this feels like better than a 5-12 team. This feels like maybe better than a 6-11 team, but I have to go under on this. It's not what I'm putting any money on, and if Carolina starts to play well throughout the season, I feel like there'll be some people slow to buy in on it. I will buy in on that as the season goes along. Lastly, the Atlanta Falcons. Their over-under sits at 5. They are plus 20,000 to win the Super Bowl, plus 10,000 to win the NFC, plus 3,500 to win the division. This team is very bad. Very bad. And again, a year of transition. We will probably see the young quarterback in there at some point. No Calvin Ridley means minimal offensive weapons. The defense is quite bad as well. I will go under 5 for the Atlanta Falcons. So there is your NFC preview. Now we get into the playoffs. Playoffs? Yes, now we get into the playoffs. So let's rank them. Let's see how things go in the AFC. The number 1 seed in the AFC for me are the Buffalo Bills, so they get the bye. The number 2 seed, I am going to say probably the LA Chargers will be the number 2 seed. The 3 seed is probably going to be the Indianapolis Colts, and the 4 seed, I don't know why I tried to write Indianapolis there, just write Indy. Show off. The 4 seed is Cincinnati. We're just going to write Cincy in. I just think that because of the divisions that those teams play in, and I get the AFC West loaded up and they're the marquee division, But if you remember back to our AFC preview, I took the Chiefs under 10.5. I took the Broncos under, and I took the Raiders under. I don't think this division is going to be as good as people think it is. I think the Chargers are going to be able to come out of it smelling like roses. And I just think because of the strong play of the Baltimore Ravens in that AFC North, they are the next best second place team along there. So I think Baltimore makes life difficult for Cincinnati. I think that is probably going to be a battle for top spot in the division. And because of that, Baltimore is my 5th seed. So those two teams will play each other in the postseason. Coming out of the AFC North, Baltimore is my 5th seed. My 6th seed are the Kansas City Chiefs. So they will be playing the Indianapolis Colts in the first round of the playoffs. And my 7th seed, it comes down to Tennessee, Denver, and Miami. I am going to go with the Miami Dolphins. I have them over 9. I think they get the job done and get into the postseason. So my AFC playoff matchups are the Chargers against the Dolphins, the Colts against the Chiefs, and the Bengals against the Baltimore Ravens. I have the Chargers annihilating the Miami Dolphins with a victory there. So the Chargers stay in the 2 seed in the postseason. Indy against Kansas City. I think this is where Indianapolis run ends. I will go Kansas City with a victory in that one, setting up a rematch against Baltimore, and setting up a rematch against Buffalo. Cincinnati against Baltimore. Oh, it's really close. We've seen one quarterback lead his team to the Super Bowl. We've seen the other one kind of fall apart a little bit. I think this is where Cincinnati gets it done. I think Cincy gets the win there. So, the AFC divisional round, Buffalo against Kansas City, the Chargers against Cincinnati. I will go Buffalo over Kansas City in the divisional round, and I will go with the Chargers over the Bills, setting up a really interesting AFC title game. Who are my AFC champions? I am going to go all in on the Chargers this year. I am going to see the LA Chargers are the AFC champions for the Year of Our Football Gods 2022 and 2023. Moving into the NFC, I am going to say the San Francisco 49ers are your 1 seed this year. Coming out of the NFC. Actually, you know what? I am not. I'm going to change that. I'm going to say the Minnesota Vikings are the number 1 seed coming out of the first round. I just think their division is a whole lot worse, and I think, again, the Rams being there is going to affect things greatly. The number 2 seed would probably be... the 2 seed is going to be San Francisco. The 3 seed will be Tampa Bay, which means your 4 seed will be Philadelphia. The 5 seed will, of course, be the LA Rams, so they get Philadelphia in round number 1. My 6 seed is going to be Green Bay. I would love to do the hot take and have Green Bay not make the playoffs, but that would be absolutely insane. My 7 seed coming down to the Saints or the Dallas Cowboys. You know what? Let's go with a bold take here. Let's say New Orleans makes the playoffs. The Dallas Cowboys miss the playoffs. So my postseason matchups in the NFC, San Francisco against New Orleans, Tampa Bay against Green Bay, and Philadelphia against the LA Rams. San Francisco beats New Orleans, I think, so San Francisco stays as the number 2 seed. Tampa Bay against Green Bay. Have seen too many playoff flameouts for Green Bay. So Tampa Bay gets the job done, taking on San Francisco in the divisional round. The Rams against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Rams just do horrible things to the Eagles once again. Another wild card exit for the Philadelphia Eagles. So then it's Minnesota against the Rams, San Francisco against Tampa Bay. It is the LA Rams for me over Minnesota, and it is San Francisco for me over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So now we get down to, in a 1 game, winner takes all, 49ers against the Rams. If I am saying at this point that Trey Lance has got his team here, I think Trey Lance is going to be able to take his team all the way. I think San Francisco gets the job done. They face the Chargers in the Super Bowl, and I have... Can't believe I'm saying this after saying I'm not going to buy into this team for a second year in a row. I have the LA Chargers winning the Super Bowl. So there you go. I have Chargers over 49ers as my Super Bowl prediction for the 2022-2023 season.